Daf Yomi, Tractate Bava Batra, page 99a, top of the page, with the words Hakamash Milan. Lemate ki lemala, ma lemala en mamash klum, en mishamesh klum, af lemate en mishamesh klum. The verse teaches us this. The area below the cherubs. Oh yeah, we were asking why was a discrepancy of saying the two places, the width, the height, and the length of the Mishkan. One, it was only counting from the height of the cherubs and above, thus 30, because the cherubs are 10, so 20 and 10 is 30. The verse teaches us this: the area below the cherubs is like the area above them, just as the area above the cherubs' wings, which were spread out in the air, was not used for anything, meaning it was empty space, so too the area below them was not used for anything, and it was empty. Mesayeh alein Rabbi Levi. Diom Rabbi Levi, v'yitem Rabbi Yochanan. Davar zeh mesoyres b'yodeinu mevoseinu. Makom aron ukrovim einoim min hamido tanya nami hochi. Aron she'asa Moshe yesh lo revach 10 amos lechol ruach veruach. This supports the opinion of Rabbi Levi, as Rabbi Levi says. Rabbi Levi said, and some say it was Rabbi Yochanan who said, this matter is a tradition handed down to us by our forefathers. The space occupied by the Ark of the Covenant and the cherubs is not included in the measurement of the Holy of Holies in which it rested, as miraculously it did not occupy any space at all. The Gemara comments, this is also taught in a Braise. I need to get this cord so that it won't, the battery won't go out. Since I started, so just hang tight there. Hang tight in the Braise, please. Yes, please. Ken bevakasha, yes, please. Okay. Oh, now we have some chashmal. Chashmal is, I think it's gematria $1 million. Levush, chashmal. Chash and mal. Aval, now we have chashmal, and now you want to worry about the burning out of the chashmal. Okay, very good. Where are we holding now? Where are we? Where are we now? Okay. Where were we holding? Braise. Oh, hold on. Oh yeah. The Krubin did not occupy any space at all. The Gemara comments. This is also Tanei Braise when they brought the ark that Moses crafted into the Holy of Holies in the temple of King Solomon. Even though the total width of the Holy of Holies was only 20 cubits, nevertheless, the ark had 10 cubits of empty space between it and the wall in each and every direction. Omer Ravnai. Ravnai could be like Rav Banai. I heard that from Rav Yehoshua Cohen. He said, if it says Ravnai, it could be Rav Banai. Or if it's Ravin, it's Rav Ovin. Omer Ravnai, Omer Shmuel, Keruvim B'neis Hayoim Din, Shene'emar v'chamesh Amos, Knaf HaKruv HaEchos, v'chamesh Amos, Knaf HaKruv HaShenis, 10 Amos, Mikzois, Kenofov ve'ad, Ketzois kenofov, Gufayu hecha havoi kaimi, elo, shmamino b'neis hayoim din. Ravanai says that Shmuel says the cherubs stood miraculously and did not occupy any physical space. As it is stated, in 5 cubits was one wing of the cherub, and 5 cubits was the second wing of the cherub. 10 cubits from the tip of its wings until the tip of its wings. For kings, wings and kings, it rhymes. 1 Kings 6:24. Accordingly, the wings of the two cherubs standing side by side would occupy the entire 20 cubits with the sanctuary. But if so, where, in what space, were their bodies standing? Since their wings alone, which protruded from the sides of the cherubs' bodies, occupied 20 cubits, there was no room left in which their bodies could stand. Rather, one must conclude from the verse that the cherubs stood miraculously and did not occupy any physical space. Maskif le'abaya v'dilma boiltin ketal negoilin havikaimi. Maskif lo'rova v'dilma zeh shelo keneged zeh havikaimi. Maskif le'rava acha bar Yaakov v'dilma be'al chesona havikaimi. Abai objects to this proof. But perhaps they stood with their bodies emerging beneath their wings, like chickens, with their wings protruding above them from the same point in the center of their backs. If so, their bodies would stand beneath their wings and would not occupy any additional space. Rava also objects to this proof, but perhaps they stood so, and that this one was not next to that one, and the wings of the two cherubs overlapped, thereby allowing the additional space occupied by their bodies. Rav Acha bar Yaakov also objected to this proof. Perhaps they were standing at a diagonal, be'al chesona, alignment, and one from one corner of the Holy of Holies to the diagonally opposite corner. In this way, there would be enough space for their bodies and their wings. Maskiv lo Rav Huna berei de Rav Yehoshua v'dilma beisa meila revach. Maskif lo Rav Papa v'dilma meikav haru kaife yedayu. Maskif lo Rav Ashi v'dilma shalcho fi havi meshalchafi. Rav Huna, the son of Rav Yehoshua, also objects to this proof. But perhaps the width of 20 cubits stated in the verse refers only to the width at ground level, whereas the room widened at the top and was therefore able to accommodate both their wings and the width of the bodies. Rav Papa also objects to this proof, but perhaps they were folding their wings somewhat, since their wings were not fully extended. They did not actually fill the full 20 cubits of the sanctuary. Rav Ashi also objects to this proof, but perhaps their wings crossed over one another so that they did not occupy so much space. Ketzad, hein oimdin, Rabbi Yochanan v'Rabbi Elazar chadoma pneihem ishel achiv. That's what the verse says. Ufneihem ishel achiv. Pneihem ishel achiv v'chadoma pneihem labais. למען דאמר פניהם איש אל אחיו הכתיב ופניהם איש לבייס לא קשיא. כאן בזמן שישראל אויסו נצוינו של המקוים, כאן בזמן שאין ישראל אויסו נצוינו של המקוים. Oh, this is the famous Gemara. Concerning its focus on the cherubs, the Gemara asks, how were the cherubs standing? Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Elazar disagree about this. One says their faces were turned one toward the other, and one says their faces were turned toward the house, towards the sanctuary. The Gemara asks, but according to the one, I think the accents are getting switched up here, but according to the one who says that their faces were turned one toward the other, isn't it written, and their faces were toward the house? 2 Chronicles. Ufnehem labais. I wonder what the gematria of that is, because Ufnehem Mishal Chiv clearly is 58. Ufnehem labayas 633. It's gematria fish grill. Lo kashia kam bezman she saw is okay. and their faces were toward the house. 2 Chronicles 3:13. Look that one up. How does he explain the meaning of this verse? The Gemara answers, this is not difficult, as their faces miraculously changed directions in reflection of the Jewish people's relationship to God. Here, when it states that the cherubs face each other, it was when the Jewish people do the will of God. There, the verse that describes the cherubs face the sanctuary and not towards each other was when the Jewish people do not do the will of God. That's a nice word there. It says that one verse says that they would face each other, they'd face the house. But facing each other, it's like two people face each other. And they have achdus and they're friends. But if they're facing the house, they're still facing God. But that's not what God wants. God doesn't want you. That means if you're only facing God, but not each other, that goes according to the opinion that they're not doing the will of God. He wants you to face each other. It's a nice musar word. It's a nice voltage. It's a nice voltage. But, yeah, like I was saying before, the one who says, Die mitzad yatzdo tanya unkelos hager omar kruvim maaseh tzatzuim hein. Ule mitzodim panim ketar melaniftar meraboi. The Gemara asks, and according to the one who says that they stood as described in the verse, and their faces were toward the house, isn't it written with their faces toward each other? How does he explain the meaning of this verse? The Gemara answers, there were angled sideways so that they turned both to each other and toward the sanctuary, as is taught in a Braita. Onkelos the convert said that the cherubs were of the form of children, as the verse says, and in the Holy of Holies he made two cherubim of the form of children, and they overlaid them with gold, 2 Chronicles 3:10. And their faces were angled sideways toward the Ark of the Covenant, like a student taking leave of his teacher. Okay, and that ends that. Mishnah, the Mishnah says, Mish yesh loy bol lifnim mi beiso shel chaveroi nichnas bisho shederach bnei odom nichnosin v'yoitzi bisho shederach bnei odom yoitzin ve'enoi machnis behem to yumashke b'boiroi אלא ממלא משקה מבחוץ וזה עושה לו היפך בתחס פויסחס וזה עושה לו פויסחס. The Mishnah says, Zog the Heilige Mishnah, one who has ownership of a cistern located beyond the house of another, meaning the cistern can be accessed only by entering the property of the other, and also has access rights to that cistern, may enter the house to access his cistern only at a time when it is usual for people to enter, and may leave only at a time when it is usual for people to leave. And in addition, he may not bring his animal into the house and water it from his cistern, rather he must fill a pail with water from the cistern and water his animal outside. And this one, the owner of the cistern, constructs for himself a lock on the entrance to the cistern to prevent the homeowner from drawing water from it. And that one, the homeowner constructs for himself a lock. And that was the Mishnah. The Gemara says, Poisachas lehecho. The Gemara asks a question. Poisachas lehecho. The Mishnah states that the owner of the cistern and the homeowner each construct a lock. The Gemara asks, a lock to where? Poisachas lehecho. Amar Rabbi Yochanan shnehem lebohor. Bishtam bal habor boy lishtamore. Maya di boire. Ela bal habais lamale. Amrabiolozo. And that's it. So the Gemara wants to know a lock to where? What's being locked? Rabbi Yochanan says both of them construct a lock on the opening of the cistern to prevent the other from accessing it unilaterally. They both have to be there. There's something like they both have locks, like double locked. They both have a key to their part of it. So the Gemara asks, granted, the owner of the cistern constructs a lock. He wants to protect the water as well. But why does the homeowner construct a lock? Rabbi Lazar said, Mishum chashadi ishtoi, because, and then this is already the next daf, but he does so due to a suspicion the owner of the cistern might enter the house at a time when the owner is not present and thereby be secluded together in the house with the homeowner's wife.